Welcome to the 28th episode of the Perfectly Imperfect Spiritual Podcast. My today's guest, Dailah Soul, is an intuitive coach and MDR guide. She helps people get through life's challenges using the help from her guides. She also takes her clients through a journey of unlocking forgotten memories in this life as well as in other lives. Welcome, Dailah, to the podcast.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for agreeing to come to the
Mhm.
podcast. As you know, it's all not scripted, so we are going to see where our intuition is going to take us.
Yes.
One thing that I wanted to ask you, because I know you have your YouTube channel, and I could see that your most popular videos are about your move to Senegal.
hmm
And I'm wondering whether you can share a little bit. Could you choose like one of the stories? Could you just mention a little bit about your decision to move your family from the US to Senegal?
Yeah. This is a really good question to start off with because it has so much to do with my guides. As you mentioned in the introduction, with my guides assisting me um, with my clients, they assist me in everyday life.
Hmm.
So in 2012, I'd say, I just got this deep feeling that I needed to leave the country and I started to research. I felt like I knew I wanted to move to Africa, maybe. And when I researched the places that a lot of Americans were going, I started to get uneasy feelings. These are places where they speak English and where a lot of the diaspora are at. And I don't even know. I was looking at this map and I just seen the country Senegal. I had never been to Senegal. I didn't know
Hmm.
a soul in Senegal. Back in 2012, there was nothing on the internet about Senegal as far as like YouTubers or anything.
Hmm.
And I could just feel my guide saying, "This is the country. This is where you'll go." And what they instructed me was that I would go to this country, and no matter what, no matter how long it took for me to get there, and whenever I got there, that my children and I would be safe and protected. And so my journey was kind of crazy. It took I gave myself a 10-year plan and we made it here in 8 years. And before we arrived here, there was a couple who were here and they ended up setting me up and stealing thousands of dollars for me, all these crazy
Wow.
things. But I could just feel my guides. It was almost as if there were actually quite a few moments where my guides had taken over me. And the response that I had from what looked like such turmoil and such chaos was actually so amazing. And I just had the most beautiful time. We were stranded in New York City, but it didn't feel like we were stranded. I had never been to New York City. So it was really an amazing time for us. My kids had they were teaching, they were learning Taekwondo from a Senegalese instructor. So we made a lot of connections there. And I ended up coming here and being able to take the couple to court. I came here with $167 and my four children. So it sounds so crazy when people
Hmm.
hear it, but my guides were just loud and clear the entire time. They were just like, people were calling me crazy. They were like,
Hmm.
"You're never going to make it." And I was just like, I just know that I'm supposed to do this. So yeah.
Hmm. This is so beautiful and important to share because you're that example of what happens when you really follow your guidance.
Yes,
It's so
yes,
important. So do
I
you feel
agree.
at home now? Like, do you feel like this is your place?
Yeah, I definitely do. When we came in immediately, normally you move to a place like Africa, any country in Africa, it probably feels like it is a different planet. It's Africa. I didn't feel that though. I felt very familiar. I didn't have any culture shock. I had a lot of memories of me being here in past lives,
Hmm.
and it was just all so confirming. And going off of what you said, I always say that this journey that I had here, it definitely showed me the importance of obedience, obeying myself and my intuition and just trusting myself for sure.
Hmm. I love it.
hmm
And could you
hmm
share a little bit about your spiritual journey? How has it
hmm
developed? How has it started?
Yeah. Yeah. So when I was younger, about 5 or 6, I would channel. I didn't know that it was abnormal at the time. I just always heard and felt, you kind of, it's like a voice, but a feeling at the same time. And I just always heard and felt these beings giving me information. They would tell me that Earth is full. They would tell me that we all have lived here thousands of times. They would tell me things that like adults don't know what's going on, that
Mm-hmm.
most of adults are just out here living by default. So there was a lot that I knew really, really young about this earth. And I would go on to, I guess, when I first started channeling, which was at that age of 5 or 6, I was living in LA. My father was raising me. Times were really happy and exciting. And by the time I turned about 11, I moved in with my mom, and we actually I was in California, then I moved to Oklahoma with my mom, and there was a
Mm-hmm.
lot of trauma. And I think that with that trauma, it kind of blurred my feelings and the sounds of my guides, but they were always there. And if you grow up in communities where this is which are most cultures that is not really accepted,
Mm-hmm.
so of course I was like the black sheep. I was the weird girl, the sensitive girl, hypersensitive, very dramatic. And
Mm-hmm.
I later found out these are just all traits of a medium, all traits of someone who's, empathical. And so, yeah, I would go on all those years. People would always tell me that I was really wise. So they would always say, like, she's so wise for her age. And so for most of my life, I just took it as I don't know why I know how to help people with their problems. Like when I was in my early 20s, I had dropped out of school for psychology and I started assisting couples, like married couples. I was just like a newlywed, married, but I was helping people that had been married for 30 years,
Mm-hmm.
fixing their marriages. And they were so much older than me. And I knew their problems, that the answers to their problems like right away. And yeah, I just went so many years with thinking that it was wisdom. And it wasn't until I'd say I got a reading with someone who's a good friend of mine now. I call her my galactic sister. And it's like I have been getting readings all my life, and I have been searching for who are these beings that's been speaking to me, but no
Mm-hmm.
one could really tell me anything. And as soon as her and I got on the video, she's like, "Oh my God, you have galactic guides." She's like, "I've
Mm-hmm.
never read anyone that has galactic guides too. These are these beings that are always there with you." And I just started breaking down. I just started sobbing. And I was like, all my life, I've been
Mm-hmm.
searching for answers for who they are. They're giving me instructions to go here and do this. And so that's kind of where it started. I would even say that is where I started to really accept myself on earth. Like my journey had been me just not ever feeling like I belong here, really feeling like there's a home outside of this planet and like I'm supposed to be home. So I did a lot of like, even though I was happy, everyone would say I was always really positive, but I always felt this emptiness. And it was almost like in that moment, I started to accept that, okay, I'm not from this planet. I get that now. And it's okay for me to be the weird one. So it was kind of just stepping into all that.
Mm-hmm. I love the
Mm,
story.
mm,
So I
yeah.
pulled some cards for our conversation
Okay.
today, and I was so much drawn to the oracle deck that has many ascended masters. It's called
Hmm.
Keepers of the Light by Kyle Gray.
Okay.
So I've got three
Beautiful.
cards, and this will allow us to deepen our conversation. But they're so accurate. Not that they are never not, but yeah. So the first one, it's Hilarion, divine
Mm,
healing, and he's a spiritual master who lived in the Middle East in, I think it was the 4th century. But he is a healer, and he is the one who is assisting spiritual people, the ones who feel
mm,
overly sensitive, to overcome their challenges and to actually integrate with the normal life. And I
mm.
feel it's been also part of your uh, journey and something that you perhaps are helping other people with. So I'm wondering whether you can mention about your own healing journey and how you heal people now and how you teach
Yeah.
them uh, about being sensitive, energy protection, and how they can really
Hmm.
cope and then like
Hmm.
thrive by being part of the society.
Yeah. So this is, yeah, this that I resonate with that card absolutely. A lot of my journey, has been a healer. I would say in my early 20s, I started getting into herbs. And I kind of went from like being an herbalist to getting into aromatherapy using essential oils. And about maybe the third to fifth year of me helping people with essential oils, I started to get this message that the healing that I was doing was really good, but that we were evolving as a collective on how to heal in an easier way, in a more simpler way, where you don't have to take all of these products and you don't have to try really hard. And so they told me that they would start to show me ways into using the brain and the heart to heal. And I had no idea what that would be. But going in it today now, I definitely understand that I've like evolved from the herbs to the oils to now showing people how to go into the right side of their brain, how to use brain and heart coherence to heal from anything, from trauma to health issues and things like that. So that card is right on spot.
Okay, and the second card, I feel like they're all on spots, but yeah. The second card that we've got, I keep hearing that it's the wrong color there. Okay, the second card that I pulled for you is Gaia, so Earth connection. So we do have the Mother Earth,
Mm-hmm.
and it's beautiful because what I keep hearing, well, of course, Mother Earth, she loves to protect us and guides us. Um, but what's important and what I keep hearing as well, part of your journey has been to heal your own trauma to do with your, well, the mother figure keeps coming up as being significant, but in general,
Mm-hmm.
for you to reparent yourself. And this is your
Mm-hmm.
strength now because you have allowed others to see that they can heal through anything that they've endured here on Earth. Because by
Yeah.
being connected to Mother Earth, to Father Sky, you can actually realize that you are never on your own and that you
Mm-hmm.
deserve love, you are loving. So this is the card that's so beautiful. And of course, it
Mm-hmm.
tells me about you being so much grounded, but you have that motherly energy, which also tells me because you're a mother,
Mm-hmm.
but you're showing other mothers as well how to persevere and how to
Yeah.
connect themselves to the spirit world. So I'm wondering about
Mm-hmm.
your response to yeah, Gaia.
Yeah. Yeah, that's deep. Definitely. When you were speaking and explaining that, I kind of seen this connection between how I went so many years of my life, like the first 30 years of my life, not feeling connected to Earth. And then when I started to accept myself and accept the fact that I am channeling, it isn't just wisdom. Um, and I started to really feel acceptance of me being connected to this earth, I realized that the whole time connected. That's why I was so dramatic or so sensitive. I use these terms carefully because I know that a lot of people watching, a lot of people that hear my story, they also grew up being called the same things, in households where they kind of feel like, oh, maybe I'm being too sensitive because my parents are telling me that I am, or someone.
Mhm.
So yeah, just hearing you explain that, I definitely could see how a lot of my journey has so much to do with the connection to Gaia, for sure, and helping others. Like you said, helping women. I think that most of my clients are mothers. And definitely without me doing my own healing, there's no way that I would be able to help. Hmm.
That's beautiful. And then the third card, and then we'll move on, is
Okay.
the Odin, psychic insight.
Mm,
He's all Father God. He's got a raven as his totem, but he's the one who helps people to see beyond the physical world. He's the one
mm,
who helps anyone who wants to open their third eye. And I feel it's something that, well, you've been doing for yourself. It's been happening to you, but you're helping then other people to, well,
hmm,
explain the importance of being able to surrender, to trust the divine, and allow
hmm,
to treat the insights that you're getting from the third eye. Well, for
mm,
that to be equally as important as your logical brain. But what's coming here important is that signs, symbols, and omens are very important on your journey. They might be to do with many of your past lives, and runic alphabet
Hmm.
comes as something important. He's been using it, so I'm getting a strong connection to that as well. But I'm wondering
Mm.
about, yeah, if you can mention a little bit of how you support your clients, how you
Hmm.
equip them with maybe certain tools, knowledge on how
Hmm.
they can trust their, well, third eye, and then like I want to say intuition.
Yeah. So that card is amazing as well, because it definitely resonates with me when you mention him helping people through the other side. I think that my one of my biggest purposes in this work is assisting people with that. And well, I know I kind of mentioned one thing, or for the introduction, there was like me doing the coaching and the past life regression, but I'm
Hmm.
also a painless birth worker as well. And in all three of these fields that I do this work in, they all come down to the same thing, and that's training people on how to let go, on how to surrender, on how to be obedient to themselves. I always tell people it doesn't matter if you come to me to have a painless birth, to heal from something. It's always the same answer. It's about letting go and releasing, taking the path of least resistance. So the fact that I do that in ways of staying in this realm and focusing on what's happening here, and then also taking people into other lives, I really resonate with that card for sure.
So could you talk a
Hmm.
little bit more? Could you give maybe some simple tools to the viewers and listeners in terms of
Hmm.
how they can surrender and how they can let go? I know it's very,
Yeah.
very, yeah, we could have a proper, well, 1 hour, 2 hour conversation on that, but anything that
Yes.
comes to your mind that would help people to
Yeah.
start.
Hmm. Hmm. I would say, I would say starting with your inner dialogue. Neuroscientists say that 50% of the people in the world do not have an inner dialogue. And I would challenge that statement that has been publicly made by saying that we all have an inner dialogue. There may be half of us that are using it. And so using your inner dialogue is the same inner dialogue that has been speaking to me my entire life. And that's just your higher inner self saying, what am I feeling? Why am I moving like this? Why did I decide to do this? What am I, it's that really that inner self. They say like you can talk to yourself, but if you answer yourself, then you're crazy. There's like this saying around the world, and I don't agree with that. I believe that if you are tapping into your inner dialogue, then you can really start to move in a way where you're paying more attention to yourself, you're able to process your feelings more, and you're able to catch yourself when you need to let go. When you're overthinking, when you're negatively thinking, you can say, okay, why am I feeling like this? Does this thought feel good, or does it make me feel bad? And if it doesn't, if it's on a frequency of not giving you joy and love, then let it go.
Hmm.
So inner
Okay.
dialogue.
Beautiful. I would like to talk a little bit about social media. Maybe we could first start by you mentioning um, how, well, who gave you a thought, or maybe it was your idea to have your own YouTube
Mm.
channel. How has it
Mm.
started?
I'd like to say it was me, but I'm not really sure about that. A lot of our ideas are not us. So I've been wanting to do YouTube for a really long time. I've always had a voice. I've always been the one that is like speaking and bringing people together, even as a teenager. So it's been a long time coming with my YouTube channel. A lot of me being afraid to get in front of the camera, all these illusions. I have to have this, I have to have that. So I started my YouTube channel about 7 years ago and doing the same thing I'm doing now, where I'm speaking and really giving messages, but I was not accepting that I was actually doing that. Again, I was just like, I'm wise, so I got a lot of stuff to say.
Hmm.
And then it wasn't until after I moved here and started to really start, accepting myself, that I realized, okay, I am channeling. And not only that, but, your guides will give you no choice. I really have had no choice.
Hmm.
Because they will make you do it. They're like, this is your purpose and you can't run from it. The more that you run, we're going to chase you. So that's really what doing my YouTube channel has been.
I love it, and I can relate. My guides are very outspoken and pushy as well,
Yes,
including
yes.
with that podcast. But yeah, I'm loving it because what I keep hearing from my guides and what I keep hearing from other people, other light workers, so
Mm-hmm.
many of us are being called right now to spread notion of us being able to be connected to the spirit realm, but also to normalize those conversations. So it is about us going beyond the fear and allowing us ourselves to be seen, to be heard in a very raw, natural way, imperfect
Yes.
way, just so
Mm-hmm.
that we can have those conversations. And I know we've talked
Yeah.
about it before, but I'm wondering whether you can mention a little bit about what are the benefits of using social media and how you can raise that awareness about mediumship, about past lives.
Yes. Yeah. I definitely believe that we're in a time where more than ever, this is being called to the forefront. I think like I've been watching YouTubers that speak about spiritual stuff for like the last 10 years, but not like we see it today. There's other levels where we're talking about the quantum field and we're normalizing channeling. And I just think this is all divine for what's happening. The contact that a lot of us are having, the downloads that a lot of us are getting. I definitely have received the message of a lot of people that are doing this spiritual work. A lot of times we are kind of far removed from the logistics of it. Like we really don't care about the numbers. We really don't want to go viral
Mm-hmm.
and things like that. And my guides have told me like it's not about that. It's just about us getting it out there, us helping the collective and helping ourselves because it's healing within ourselves for us to, have this information inside of us and then to let it out. So yeah, social media is doing its thing for us right now on us sharing. Hmm.
Mm-hmm. And what are the major shifts that are happening right now on Earth? What are the most recent downloads that you've been getting about the collective,
Um,
about anything
mhm.
that you would like to share with the viewers and the
Yeah,
listeners?
definitely the awakening that we're getting. So many of us that maybe didn't think for a day that you could be called a psychic or a medium that are just like almost overnight. It's going to feel like people are just coming up with these gifts and these abilities to see and to feel things. That's going to be happening really quick. Yeah, really rapidly. And like an abundance of it, like thousands of us a year, or I should say a month even, that are going
Mm-hmm.
to be feeling that. I think that's the biggest thing that I see coming or happening now.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
Hmm.
let's talk about past lives because I know
Hmm.
you love doing it, and we've had our
Yeah.
life about it, but I feel like we can talk a little bit more. So, how has it
Yes.
started for you? Because I feel it's so
Hmm.
important. To mention that, of course, you can go through various certifications and degrees, and you can be um, a professional in past lives, but we both know that sometimes it is our spirit team on the other side that pushes us to do various things.
Hmm.
So, yeah, if you
Hmm.
can comment about that and in general, how has it started for you?
Yeah. Yeah. The past life thing has been, I'm calling it a thing because I'm still just like,
Mhm.
what? So I started off with my painless birth working. That would have been my introduction into hypnosis, and I had no idea that it was hypnosis. I've been doing this for 7, 8 years now, and I did it for many years. And I was very big on staying away from the word hypnosis because I know there's a lot of judgment about it. So people would say, "Is this hypnosis?" And I would say, "No, not at all. I had never been trained for it. I'd never done a class in a day or read a book on it." So I'm literally just following my guides with this, and I had been totally against it. And it wasn't until I think maybe the end of last year, like literally December of last year, January of this year, that something just hit me, and I just realized that I am doing hypnosis.
Mhm.
It sounds so silly, but I'm like, I think maybe I can take people into past lives, and I think that I'm supposed to do this. So I reach out to Pat, who is how we are connected. And I reached out to Pat because I seen all these different programs for thousands of dollars to do the past life regression. And again, I'm not thinking that this is even my calling. I don't even want to do this, honestly. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to do this. and and I wanted to reach out to her though, because I kept feeling it inside of me. And for a lot of people watching, if you guys are feeling like you're supposed to do something and you have this anxiety surrounding it, a lot of times that's because you are supposed to do it. It's literally that anxiety is your guide. It's like pulling on you, you know? So I was feeling a lot of that. And so I reached out to Pat and I'm like, hey, I didn't even know that she also did past life regression. I just really wanted the confirmation because I was hearing that I don't need the training. And it was kind
Mm-hmm.
of freaking me out to know that I was already
Mm-hmm.
doing this because it had been years now that I'm using hypnosis for my coaching to change people's lives and help them to manifest and release things and heal from, you know, their health issues and stuff. And so Pat, she's like, oh no, she's like, your guides sent you to me and you need no training. You
Mm-hmm.
better not pay for any training.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, come to the class because you're supposed to be here. And it really just started there. After that, it's like I kind of had this ripple effect of all of these like mediums, even on YouTube, people really confirming to me that I had done this in another life and that I was punished for it. And that was a big thing for me. I went through a good like 5 months of me not really knowing what to do because I was told that I needed to go into my own past life in order
Mm-hmm.
to heal that, in order to do this. And so I just, you know, I'm the kind of person that I don't like to be in fear and I don't like anything like staying on me that doesn't feel good. So I was feeling this way and I was kind of in and out of the feelings and I started getting books. Pat had suggested a lot of books to me and I'm just my mind is being blown that I've been doing this for so many years and I had no
Mm-hmm.
idea. And so one day I'm sitting in my room and my kids we've discussed this for a couple of years now when I would kind of look at it and say, oh, okay, no, I'm not supposed to do that. So my kids know that I've talked about us doing past life stuff and me teaching them how to do it. They were very aware that one day this would happen. And even one of the books that I got that was not a suggestion from Pat, it was a book on doing hypnosis with children, how like the
Mm-hmm.
last 40 years, uh, you know, practitioners have been using this to heal children. And so I'm just sitting at my desk one day and I'm like, you know what? I'm tired of this. I'm tired of saying next week I'm going to do it. And the fear of it, the fear was crazy. Like, I'm just, okay, I have these clients that are ready. And some people were even asking me, hey, do you do past life? And I'm like, no, I don't do, you know, I'm just
Mm-hmm.
denying it. And so I'm just sitting there and I'm like, I'm tired of having this fear over me. And I just call my daughter in the room and I'm like, let's do it. I'm going to take you into another life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so funny. I can't wait to hear my children's perspective on their life. But she's like, okay. And I go one by one. I have 4 children, but my
Mm-hmm.
youngest is not old enough to do it. So I do all of my first 3 children in one night. And it was the moment that I knew it was real because I was kind of in denial about it. My daughter was in another life and we tease her because she makes these dog noises. Like she just started making these dog noises so randomly about 2 years ago. So we'll tease her and we'll say, you know, you must have been a dog in another life. And
Mm-hmm.
so I take her into another life and she's a dog.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, I have paws. She's like, I don't have hands, I have paws. And that was kind of believable because I was still kind of like, is she, you know, she's an artist. Is she using her imagination? And then she said to me, she said, I see Ishailan, which is my oldest son. She said, I see him and he's a puppy too. He looks it well first she said, I see another puppy. And she said, this puppy feels familiar. It feels like Ishailan. And that's when
Mm-hmm.
I knew. I said, oh my goodness, this is real. I'm doing this. And the rest is history. I just started going crazy on just doing past life for everyone.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
Mhm.
And I think it's so important to mention because you know that something so similar happened to me. And it's so important to be able to remove the fear and to trust in that high intelligence because it
Yeah.
happened to me as well a couple of years ago when my guides told me, okay, you're ready. you're going to
Yeah.
start doing past lives. And I'm like, no, I don't do past lives. And I've
Yeah.
mentioned to that before that 2 days after, two of my friends got in touch and said, Marta, could you do past life for us? And that's how it started. But
Yeah.
I had that long debate, not one conversation with my spirit guide. It's like telling them I have no idea how to do it.
Yeah.
The only thing that I had to do is to like to clear my mind and to trust them because they know exactly how
That's
to
right.
take people through past life. So I think whether we're talking about mediumship, whether we're talking about healing,
Hmm.
whatever modalities you're using, it's so important to be able to move our ego aside, move those human experiences of fear and doubt, and to
Yeah.
realize that it is not about us, it is not about our abilities, but it is about how we are channeling
Hmm.
energies and how we are using that energy that flows for us,
Yes,
while then
absolutely.
healing or carrying out past lives. Well,
Hmm.
during past lives, we heal as well, but yeah, I think it's so
Yeah.
important.
I
Okay.
totally agree with that. I would say that 9 times out of 10, the things that we are fearing are the things that we're supposed to do.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I really felt that on me. And Pat was telling me all the time, she didn't understand how, when I was doing my sessions before the past life, I was taking them under, I'm like a neuroscience nerd. So I'm all about the brain. So I understand how to take people into an altered state, but I was afraid for them to speak to me. So
Hmm.
I would have them silent. And one time I actually did, it was a few years ago. This is kind of how I knew, like, oh my God, I think I'm doing the same thing that people that are taken into past lives, is that my client started speaking. I'm
Hmm.
telling them to be quiet. I'm like, silence in the
Hmm.
courtroom. I'm like, don't say anything. After your session, we're going to discuss what it was. And she started talking. And I was just like, maybe she's making this up. Maybe she's just, I was just in denial. And Pat was like, just let them open their mouths and just sit there. And I'm like, Pat, I know this is easy for you, but this is so hard for me. So definitely embrace my message on this is to embrace the fear, not to run from it. I didn't run from it. It was there and I knew it was there and I talked about it. And I made sure that I had a circle, even my two friends, that I was very verbal about the fear about it. I think that's really good too. Having at least one or two people who can listen to you vent about your anxiety surrounding these things, and
Hmm.
then you can just get through it and let it go.
Hmm. I love it.
Hmm.
Mhm. So, what's
Yes.
the final message that you would like to leave the viewers and listeners with?
Mm. Definitely trusting yourself. That's probably always a message that I'll give. Um, I wanted to, what I felt when you asked me about what was coming, like what I was feeling whatever is coming next, basically. I was feeling that my guides wanted me to share, um, like buckle up and get ready. There is going to be things that are going to look really chaotic and really upside down, but in the end, it's going to be really amazing. A lot of people stepping into their gifts, a lot of people leaving their corporate, very robotic like lives and jobs to step fully into
Hmm.
their spiritual gifts. And I just keep hearing for everyone to protect themselves, really taking those breaks from social media because that's going to be a thing. And yeah, just buckling up, getting ready for this. I think that's the message.
That's exciting. And finally,
Hmm.
what are your offerings? How can people work with you and where can they find you? And of course, I'm going to add all of the links to your social media in the
Yes,
description of the
yes.
podcast.
Thank you. Yes, you guys can find me at earthisschool.com. That is my website where I break down all of my services and what I do. You can contact me there. You can also find me at Dailah Soul YouTube on YouTube at Dailah Soul.
Beautiful. And how can people work with you? What are the services that you're offering?
So I offer intuitive coaching. I have a 4-week program, and I also have where it's just like a daily thing. And that is where I coach them using my guides and their guides. And then at the end of each call, we do a session where I take them into their alpha brainwave, and allow them to experience another version of themselves in this life. And then my other service that I have is my MDR sessions. That stands for multi-dimensional regression. And that's where we do the past life, but it's a little bit more. We start off by going into their memories in this life. So I take them from just 10 years ago. We go into the ages and stages when you were a baby, into the memory of your mother's womb. And then from there, we go into the whatever is a significant past life or two. And then after that, we meet with the soul team. And so they kind of become their own psychic instead of me reading. In the beginning of the session, they give me questions. And then during this portion at the end, I ask those questions and they are surrounded by their soul team and they actually give themselves the answers. So yeah, it's really powerful.
Yeah, I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I want to say thank you again for coming to the podcast. Thank you for that beautiful conversation.
Thank you so much, Marta. I appreciate you. This has been amazing. Thank you guys as well for tuning in.
Yes, I want to say thank you to all of the listeners and all of the viewers. Goodbye.